welcome to the San Diego Argonauts sail point races for the Santa Barbara 1 design class. This is the March sail points. We've got 8 boats racing today, 8 Santa Barbaras. We're looking right down the start line. Those 2 red buoys is our start line. That is a fair start line. There's about 30 seconds until the start. I'm the red boat that generally is going to be in the center of your screen because I have a camera that's mounted at the top of my hat. Wherever my head turns is what you're going to see, and I'm positioning myself now for the start. 10 seconds until the start. Looks like I don't want to be at the pin, which is my usual. Oh yes. Okay. So I thought that was a pretty fair line, and I was down a little further on the line than I usually am, and truthfully I am not remembering why I wanted to do that. I think the wind's generally out of the west. Again, that was a fair start line, so the wind's coming right down the pond. But in any case, I've got a good leeward position on the fleet. However, I cannot tack without fouling, getting in trouble.
1326 is going to need sea room down there, the red boat.
Oh yes. Okay.
Sea room 752, thank you.
As we get to the far side, I am entitled to sea room, which I hailed for, and now I tack, and I'm in pretty good shape coming across the pond on port. So that wind's up and down a little bit because the boat's standing up and then heeling over again. So this I've sailed the Soling 50 in the races just before this, and this is not untypical of what was happening earlier. Occasionally that wind would just go up and down. Well, in any case, I'm working across the pond on port. I'm in pretty good shape. If I got headed, I could tack over to starboard. My air is clear. I'm working on boat speed at this point. Probably have my sails cracked out just a touch to get the boat speed and then pull them in the rest of the way. So as I tack the boat around, of course the Santa Barbara is a fairly heavy boat. As I tack the boat around, I tend to let my sails out just a couple of inches, get the boat moving, and then try to point. So the sequence is get the boat moving, and to do that you foot off a little bit, leave the sails open a little bit, get up to speed. Once the boat starts getting up to speed, if there's enough air, then pull those sails in. And I find that is my best technique with the Santa Barbara. Now I tacked inside that other boat. He left some room there, so I stuck my nose in there and got away with that. I didn't think any of that was very close. And then this is the offset mark we're going around right now. So I did have an inside overlap for that mark. So that one I was fully entitled to room with. So I've got myself around in good position. I had a clear air start. I was at speed, I was on the line, all the good things I want to be doing. Stayed on starboard, got to the far shore, hailed for sea room, came back across the pond. Didn't see any big lifts either way, either port or starboard. So sometimes we get some pretty good shifts on the pond. Didn't see too much in that leg. So we're going to go on to race number 2 at this point, catch the start and weather leg there. Okay, here we are at race number 2. About 40 seconds away from the start. We've got a nice westerly breeze, 6 to 8 knots. Pretty solid, not too many holes out there.
40 seconds.
Fairly typical conditions, afternoon conditions. We're at about 1:30 in the afternoon, so our sea breeze is filled in, our daily breeze is filled in. Again, that's a fair start line. 20 seconds until the start. Everybody's positioning for the start. I'd like to be right at the pin with speed when the gun goes off. 5, oops, there's some boats tangling it up right there. I'm just driving to stay ahead of them, not get tangled up with them. Okay, well they're entwined and not going to get themselves apart, so I'm glad I stayed clear of those guys. I did get off to a good start. Oop, got knocked down pretty well right there, so there's some pretty good air. With that much heel, I'd be cracking my sails. The boat does not want to be heeling more than about 30, 35 degrees. After that, I need to crack the sails. and drive off a little bit, or the boat will just lay on its side and not go to weather. You can see the boats near us on the screen have a wonderful starboard tack lift, and it's going away now. They're headed down. I think I just stepped in a hole on the beach right there. I tacked over to port.
Well, one of the other.
We're talking a little bit about that being a port and starboard and being close. I had a starboard tacker. I've tacked off to starboard now. And we've got a little bit of traffic going on here. Okay, I've got some clear air, but it doesn't look like we got a lot of air over there. There we go. I tacked over to port. I'm sure I have the sails cracked out a little bit at this point, trying to get the boat speed. A little bit of heel on the boat, so that looks good right now. Once that boat gets moving, there's some nice heel. So once I know that that boat's moving, those sails get pulled in all the way. I've got nice clear air. I see good air on the water. I'm not sailing real high, but I have reasonably good speed. There's only one boat. I'm coming in on port, of course, and there's only one boat I need to worry about. That's 950. He's coming around. He's kind of doing a slow tack. I'm kind of doing a slow tack too, kind of luffing up to try to get to that ley line. Oh, there's a nice puff coming in. I let those sails out just a touch, and fortunately that puff came in and I made it around the weather mark. If it would have got light, I could have tried to shoot it, but that was going to be very close. So I wound up in good shape at the weather mark because I had a good start, had clear air. A little bit of traffic about halfway up the pond on the left, but managed to extricate myself from that fairly well. Even though I came into the mark on port, there wasn't a lot of traffic, and I got around in pretty good shape. Alright, with that, we're going to move on to race number 3 for the Santa Barbars. Alright, here we are at our third and last race for the Santa Barbars. Our sail points for March. About 30 seconds until the start. Looks like the wind's gotten a little bit light right here, but generally it's been holding up just fine. It's been 6 to 8 knots. It's been fairly solid. It does get a little light at times, but you can see off the right of the screen, you can see some nice waves on the ripples on the water, which tells me that there's good air coming in. That air ought to arrive by the time the race starts. Everybody positioning for the start.
Barging number 10, barging 752.
Oh yeah, talking to those boats that are coming in and barging. Kind of rubbed off them a little bit. There's a little bit of live and let live going on here. I didn't get too upset with those folks. I've got a nice start. Punched out with good speed, clear air. See what I can do with this. Everybody's staying on starboard. I'm going to stay on starboard, just stay a little bit in front of them. There's some good air coming in. A lot of heel on the boat. My eyes are certainly glowed on the boat. I'm looking at the telltales to make sure I'm on the wind, and I'm looking how much heel I've got on the boat. Santa Barbara, I find, is fairly sensitive to being overpowered. Too much heel on the boat. At that point, I let the sails out a little bit, just foot it off. When the wind gets light, when the boat starts standing up a little bit, get those sails right back in. But it does not want to be heeling more than, I'm going to say 30, 35 degrees. So I pulled away pretty good from the rest of the pack. I expect I'm going to tack off to port here at some point. There we go, just tacked over. Got some nice air. When I tack the boat, I usually let the sails out a couple of clicks on my transmitter. That's maybe a couple inches on the boom and the jib. Get the boat moving. Once it's moving, pull the sails in. At this point, I'm sure I've got the sails all the way in. Reasonably good heel on the boat. Looks like it's in good speed. I'm coming into the mark on port, which can be a problem, but we don't have any traffic, so I'm in good shape. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out where is that ley line. Don't want to cut it too close. Letting the sails out just a touch, let that boat coast. There we go. Wind's a little on the light side. Really can't see it in the video. I have a telltale on the top of my mast. It's a streaming telltale, not just a arrow indicator. And I use that a lot when I get off the wind. Not when I'm going to weather, but when I get off the wind to see what its strength is and what direction it is. I use the
Total
telltales on my sails a lot, but that wind indicator at the top of the boat is, I think, the most important, when I'm off the wind, most important indicator for wind for me. Okay, well, that's race number 3. I got off to a good start. I sailed on the lifts. I had clear air. I had good boat speed. That's why we go out and practice during the week, to make sure that our boat speed's up. So I'm a pretty happy camper out here all by myself right now. So that's going to finish it up for Santa Barbara Sail Points for March. Hope you picked up some tips. The Nationals are going to be here in August, and hope to see you at the pond. Take care.